Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Inspire Me. Today I am at my favorite location, my favorite coffee shop here in Colombo, the Cauldron. We are super psyched to have this couple in the show today. They are the founders of the Cauldron, Tharanga Perera and his better half, Dushanthi Vimaladasa. So we are going to have an inspiring conversation with them as to how they started Cauldron and how they have built the brand to what it is. So if you have visited Cauldron already, you must have witnessed how unique the concept is and the sorts of food and beverages that they have is completely next level and is full of flavor. So we are going to indulge in their food as well in a while, as well as their coffee. So till that, let's get started with our conversation. Hi Tharanga, hi Dushanthi.
Hello, hi.
How are you?
Very good, very good.
Very good. How are you?
Good, not too bad. As I said, we are super stoked about having the two of you in the show. So we have been trying to do this conversation for I think
Very
about
long time.
yeah, for about an year, but for obvious reasons, because of our incumbent friend COVID, we couldn't do it. But here we are in the show today. So my first question, Tharanga and Dushanthi, is let's talk about the outset of Cauldron. How did you come across this concept of doing a coffee shop that is so unique in this day and age? And more importantly, your support system. How did you organize your funding to infrastructure to all of that to develop Cauldron to what it is?
All right. I think the whole thing started off because of my background in the hospitality industry. I've been in hospitality since 2006, I think, overseas and in Sri Lanka as well. And we've had this idea of starting something on our own, but I think everybody does, right?
Yes.
Everybody does. But it was really in 2017 that everything kind of, fell into place, right? Because among many other reasons, one was, we were both in the corporate world, working in companies, right? And in 2017, due to certain changes that were happening in my workplace and otherwise, we started questioning ourselves. We always put our heart and soul into what we did, working for somebody else. So we started asking ourselves, okay, what might happen if we put all that effort into our own thing? What if we did that?
Yeah.
What might happen? And then in 2017 itself, we kind of decided to give it a go, and we told ourselves, okay, let's try it out. Let's try. There's always this fear what might happen, but then once you start, then only would you know what would transpire. Yeah. So we gave it a go. So we want to start something cool, something exciting, something that we can be proud of, something that we can enjoy doing on a daily basis, right? Something that we can look back 5 years or 10 years later and feel proud of what we have achieved, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it kind of materialized. In terms of the support system, well, we got a lot of support from family and friends.
Wouldn't have done it without them.
Yeah, absolutely not. So when it came to setting it up, of course, mostly family,
Yes.
right? And a few friends as well who gave us a lot of support. In terms of funds, of course, you want to on the funds.
So dreaming about the Cauldron is one thing, but execution is a different thing, right?
Yeah.
So the most the challenging, the biggest challenge was to arrange the finances. So we had a little bit of savings with us, but that wasn't enough. That was barely enough. So we had to finance the initial setup through a bank personal loan. So we were actually working with a very tight budget initially, and so we had to plan everything very carefully. We had to plan our expenses, and we had to be very careful about prioritizing the initial setting up expenses. But we but what I thought went well was that planning. So we had a detailed plan. We had many number of Excel sheets we did, and that planning actually got us Cauldron, I would say. So so that was the initial setting up.
All right, so attention to detail and coming up with a meticulous plan has certainly enabled both of them to develop Cauldron, conceptualize it and bring it to life. So he is from hospitality, she is from marketing and finance.
Yes,
that is your background. So they have put all together and given life to Cauldron. So that is how they have set up the business. Next question is about the family life. So you are a family and you are parents to a precious child.
Yes.
So if you would like, let's talk about him also in the latter stages, what you want him to be inspired with. Yes. And all of that.
Okay.
So as a family, it's very, very important to have a steady paycheck at the end of the month.
Yes.
Just like for individuals, it's more than for individuals, for families it's of paramount importance. So how did you make this bold decision that we will not go for those corporate jobs and have that comfort zone? Instead, we will take this challenge and develop our own concept. So if someone out there also wants to pursue something like what you all did, a bold decision of as a family, let's let go our paychecks and do this. What's your advice for them, and how did you really make that shift?
Okay. Yeah, I probably. So like you said, it was very difficult and it was a very challenging decision. That was one of the toughest decisions I would say that we had to make to take the plunge. Because both of us, we were working in corporate sector, and we had a steady income, but we decided to take this challenge and give up one source of income and start this, because anyone would agree that if you start a business, you will probably not get a good return immediately. It would at least take about 6 months. So you have to have a backup plan,
and particularly in a very competitive domain like
exactly in the hospitality, especially in the hospitality, it won't generate a return immediately. So we had to plan for it. But luckily, I was working in a corporate world, and so we had to cut down so many expenses, and we were worried about our son, obviously, because he was just a toddler, and so we had his own expenses, and we were used to a certain kind of lifestyle, and but we decided to take this risk, and we are so glad that now when we look back that we did.
So it's all about confidence, is it?
Yeah,
It was.
And taking risk.
It definitely needs risk taking, I would say, but it needs a little bit of planning as well, and I would say patience and resilience. That's the word.
All right. So again, we are iterating this word, planning, then again few other ingredients, risk taking and being resilient were certain secret ingredients behind their success. So it's not a secret anymore. Everyone out there also can pursue a dream similar to what Tharanga and Dush have pursued if these ingredients are put into place.
Yes.
So let's talk about the challenges that you all might have gone through. You already somewhat echoed this in the earlier discussions. So in terms of financial, in terms of execution, you have a staff that you are managing now. So I'm sure in all these dimensions you must have encountered a lot of challenges. So let's talk about those. More than a challenge, I think it's important to know how you succumb to that pressure and overcame. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so in terms of the challenges that we face, I think it's important to break it down into the 3 years. It's been 3 years since we started. The first year was all about setting up. So it was about finding a place, getting a location, the perfect location, and then renovating it. The interior decor, the kitchen planning, so meaning the layout planning and all of that.
And
That was
done in a very short time.
Yeah, and it was done in a very, very short time, right? Because as you said, this something happened in 2017,
Yeah.
and I think it took us about
Maximum 4 months.
4 months
Yeah.
to set it up. Yeah, maybe because I had some experience before, and then together we kind of managed to put the plan together properly. Initially, the biggest challenge was finding a location, right? And getting the ideal location is paramount. It is absolutely important, especially in the F&B, because it's got to be customer facing, someone which is got to be accessible and all of that. Getting the ideal location was very important, and we are lucky to have found this space in this location. Overcoming the rest of the challenges in that year, I think we did that with the team that we had.
Yes, each year we had different challenges.
Different challenges. The
I
first
would
year,
say.
setting up and everything, we got a lot of support from the team. Right, we had a super team, and they helped us through. They pulled the load with us.
Okay.
Right, that is what helped us overcome the initial set of challenges. Right, and then of course the customers who helped us to with the feedback. When times are difficult, they didn't discourage us, they encouraged us, they became our friends more than a client. Right?
We should have a special mention about the customer.
Absolutely, yeah. And so after the first year, things kind of settled down. I mean, the business stabilized. We had a loyal base, right? A set of customers who wouldn't let us shut down even if you wanted to, right? That was absolutely fulfilling as well. But with that came, as the business progressed, stabilized, came a whole new set of problems or challenges, right? That is to do with operations, right? So we started off with a small kitchen. This is inside information. We had a very small kitchen over here. So with the business progressing, the kitchen was not enough for us. So we didn't have enough space there, and with that came service delays and all these other issues that come up with operations, supply issues and all of that. So it needs a lot of it needed a lot of what can I say, understanding the market.
And making some decisions.
Yeah, studying the solutions. I said, looking for answers. You don't always have a book to read that gives you the answers to all the challenges that you might be facing, right? So it needed a lot of studying as we go on, right? Learning as we go on. So that we kind of put them into practice and managed the second year, right? And then came COVID, right? And all the other challenges.
Before that, the Easter
attack, unfortunately Easter attack and all of that. I think one of the biggest strengths that we had was the fact that we invested in our team, right? So we managed to build a team, right, who were able to pull the load for us eventually. So that I think that helped us a lot, right, throughout the years.
We were actually focusing on empowering the team from the beginning.
Yeah.
So we wanted, so the concept that we followed was we wanted everyone to learn almost everything, all the functions in the cafe.
Okay.
So if you if you are not a trainee and if you have been in the cafe for some time, you would probably know majority of the functions.
Yeah.
So they were able to actually shift from one task to the other quickly and quickly take on another responsibility. The flexibility, and that was one of the strengths that we had.
Yeah.
So
From
that-
the outset till date, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So we in companies, in restaurants, you find there are separate teams for different
Yeah.
functions. Like you get a kitchen team, you get a front team, right, etc. Or front of house team, etc. But here we got one person, as in number of one persons,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So these guys, they are trained to handle everything,
Okay.
right? So when we recruit, we ask them, okay, what's the designation you need based on your background,
Okay.
right? But we tell them at the beginning itself, we tell them, okay, when you come on board, you will be
got to
required to
learn
do everything.
everything.
And
You
you
got
need
to
to
learn
learn,
everything.
you might be a chef, but you need to learn how to make coffee. You need to learn how to handle a customer complaint, right? You need to be able to pick up a broom and sweep the floor. And you got to be able to do everything, right? So that, with that, we managed to set a culture here where the team sort of, each person is equipped to handle absolutely anything in the operation.
Every member is all-rounder.
Yes, every
Yes.
member is an all-rounder. So that's actually a term that we use. All-rounder is a term when we recruit. We say, okay, you got to be an all-rounder when you come on board, right? So that, I believe, is one of the
That worked for
biggest
us.
strengths that we had in overcoming the challenges that everything that came our way, we handled because of the team. Right? Yeah.
So let me add something to
Yeah.
that. So when you talk about the challenges, and the most important thing to remember is that it will never end.
Yeah.
It will, no matter how experienced you are, how established you are, every year, every day you will face new challenges. You have to be ready for that. And so because initially I was not from the hospitality industry, so I had a different career, and that took some time for me to also get used to these new challenges every day, because I was used to sort of like a stabilized environment where there's no big ups and downs and like that, but it needs time to absorb the fact that your challenges will never be over.
Yeah.
So that is something, if you are an entrepreneur and if you are an inspiring entrepreneur, that is something that you have to
Keep in mind,
keep
yeah.
in mind and keep in mind.
Keep in mind and not tend to fall apart when challenges keep coming in our
exactly,
way.
and not get discouraged
Yeah.
and give up.
So during, it is such that during the hardest time, you got to find a way to be positive,
Yeah, exactly.
find a way to be most positive, right?
And especially when you are an entrepreneur, you got to motivate yourself before you motivate the others.
Others.
So if you are demotivated, and if you try to be emotionally
Devastated,
in a bad stage, then it will reflect and on the team as well.
Yeah.
So you got to be motivated and stay focused, stand tall
Yeah.
for the team to be for the team to follow you, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, challenges are continuous. It's inevitable. That is something that you will face whether you are doing your own entrepreneurship, whether you are doing your own corporate job, to anything in life. So being self-motivated, and especially if you are working with a team, to continuously groom and mentor the team to be all-rounders certainly helps you to be very strong in terms of your brand, in terms of your operation. So that is a message coming from two pros who have set up a unique concept when it comes to hospitality, coffee shops, food and beverage here in Colombo. So we were in conversation with Tharanga and his better half Dushanthi, the owners of the Cauldron. It's not difficult to find where Cauldron is. Most of us already know where it is. I can close my eyes and find the way. And one thing that I never can forget is the food that they offer. So I can't wait to finish this conversation and get into that part. So the next question is hailing from what you all said earlier. So yes, you all have groomed a very good team, and although the execution took so much of time and effort, I think Cauldron gained limelight also quite fast. That is my experience with Cauldron, because as you all opened the restaurant, as in the coffee shop, I got to know about it because the word of mouth was spreading so fast, and I think that's all because of the facts that you mentioned, the team and how friendly they are, the amount of effort you all put into quality. I have shot a few Inspire Me episodes here, so I have personally witnessed how friendly the team is, including the two of you. So let's talk about the challenges. We spoke about the challenges already, but the biggest challenges that we came across in the last 2 years is the attacks followed by COVID. How did this impact the business? Although you have a very good support system, staff, operations, all of that, it might have affected the business to some extent. Let's talk about that and how you changed your strategy to face that.
Yeah, I think so. When the East attack happened, that was the first time things radically went wrong for us, right?
Not in our wildest dreams that we ever imagined something like this. I mean, none of us did, right?
Yeah, I mean, not just us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is common for everybody in Colombo, everybody in Sri Lanka, I suppose.
Everybody in the world.
Yeah, and there was a lot of fear as well. And that kind of settled down fairly fast because people in Colombo, I think we bounced back, right? Sri Lanka people have a lot of resilience. So I think the fact that the people of Sri Lanka have that level of resilience kind of impacted us positively as well. So we were able to bounce back from that pretty fast, right? But when the COVID situation came, the first wave, that completely took us by surprise, right? We were not prepared for that at all. And then business was not operating for about a month, I think, fully in operation for about a month. Yeah. And then I think the next month again, we were partially operating, we're not 100% in full operation. Sorry. And so that was a very difficult time, right? Extremely difficult because there was a lot of doubt, uncertainty, fear. The team, I mean, it was emotionally very distressing for us and for the team. So the team were worried whether they are going to lose their jobs. We were worried whether we have to get them out, right? We didn't want to, right? So we were really, really worried about that. I mean, for us, it's a matter of closing down if we had to, right? But for them, it's their jobs, their livelihood. We have promised them a future with the business and all of that. So at that time, one thing we told the team was, okay, so this is something that everybody in Sri Lanka is experiencing right now. Pretty much everybody in the world is experiencing right now. So if you can decide if you want to stay with us, stay with us. We will look after you guys. We will not cut down, we will not cut your salaries for a period of time, right? Because we could not promise them a year or 6 months. We gave them a few months forward and said, okay, up to this point, your jobs are assured. We will pay you guys, whether you are here, whether you are at home, doesn't matter. And then as soon as we get to start operations again, whether delivery or dining or both, we will bounce back, we will get things back to normal again. And then when we were able to kind of start the partial operation, as many restaurants in Colombo did, we of course did not, some of the restaurants they started delivering with their team, but we didn't do that. We waited for the delivery partners to commence operation for our team safety, because we did not have the setup for our guys to deliver food on their own, right? And when we started, then because the team was very supportive, because of our customers as well, I mean, there were people who were texting us continuously, when are you guys starting, can we order, etc.
Yeah.
So I think
Are you also big?
there you go. There you go. So with all of that, we managed to overcome the first stage, right? There was a big transformation in the way we operate, right? For example, we had to cordon off the space, the cafe, right? When we started the delivery, it was very difficult for us to watch this because this place is usually, this was
Full
a
of
community
bubbles.
center,
Yeah.
right? This was a community center, not just a food place or a coffee place. We loved having those events, the music,
We loved the
open
laughters
mic, yeah,
and the
the
talks.
birthday parties and
Yes,
all of
and the
that.
big
happened, yeah.
Loud
The
chats.
interviews that
The loud
happened, yeah.
chats, yes.
Yeah, but now it was a situation where a delivery partner comes in, a delivery writer walks in, picks up a product and then walks out. We had parts of our building cordoned off with polythene to save cost, right? Because customers were not allowed to come in anyways. And it was very difficult. So when I came in during those days just to check on the team, to check on the operation, it was a different setup completely. And that was very disheartening, right? To stay focused at that time required a lot of confidence, a lot of
Willpower?
hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, hope.
Oh.
Yeah. But we did it, right?
Yeah,
With the
and
team,
on top
with our
of that,
customers.
yeah, we were not together as well.
Yes. So the first wave we were together.
Yeah,
Right?
but-
Oh no, we were not. Sorry.
No,
Yeah, we were not
when-
together.
Yeah, because I have to go overseas for my studies. So
Yeah.
I think that was
Just
just
before the
before
went to
COVID.
lockdown.
Yeah,
Just
before
before
Sri
the
Lanka
country went to
went
lockdown. Dish was away. She was in another country.
And then all this COVID
Yeah, the
issues
border
happened.
shut down, and then we got separated.
Yeah, so on top
geographically.
of the business hardship, so we had a,
Emotional hardship as well.
Yes,
yes,
yes, yes,
absolutely.
yes, yes.
And then
And that is how it is. Right?
Yeah.
For anybody, I mean, you can't predict what's going to happen in future, right? Now we know that. I think everybody in the world has kind of learned that is the only good thing that has come out of COVID.
Yeah. Relationships have become stronger.
Stronger,
Exactly,
and
and
we
then-
have learned to handle those uncertainties.
Exactly.
Right?
yeah,
That's something that
and to be happy and
content.
about the to be
contented with what we got.
yeah, exactly.
So those are the positives that came out of COVID, and those kind of translated at the business as well,
Okay.
right? So even here, the team has learned, and they've also learned this,
Yeah.
and they have also learned to work with what they've got, right? To think about future with so much limitation, where it is what we do now, which is important. I think they have learned that as well. We have learned that a lot as
Yeah.
well. And so we pulled through the first wave that way, with the help of the team, with the help of the customers, right? And with a lot of planning, we managed our costs, because as soon as you open the operation, so being shut down is one thing, right? But as soon as you open, even partially, then the suppliers start calling you for payments. Yeah. Then that's when everybody starts to call you. Okay, can we collect the check? The banks are opening,
Yeah.
right? You know that the checks are going to go into the banks.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
That's when all that starts again. And in a business, or in businesses where you've not had any revenue for the last 1 or 2 months, 1.5 months maybe. So it required a lot of cash flow planning, right? So we had to talk to our suppliers. It's all about relationship as well. So if you have had a good relationship with your suppliers during your good time, then the bad times come,
Yeah,
they will
they
help you.
still support
Right?
you.
They will
Yeah.
still support you, right? If you
And we supported each other.
yeah, exactly. So if during the good times, if we were the worst customer for our suppliers, they're not going to help us.
Yeah.
So that is something that you need to watch out during your good times, which helped us during our worst
Bad
times.
times.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then when the second wave came, we were kind of equipped, right? We were prepared, right? We knew, we were kind of, I mean, even now we are kind of expecting there might be another
Yeah.
situation in the future.
Yeah.
We hope not, but we know that it might happen, right? So now we're a little bit prepared for it, okay? And so that's again something that somebody could learn, meaning when you experience something, you should not fall in the same situation again, right? So once bitten, you should be twice shy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you need to learn from your experiences. So when the first wave hit, we learned from it, right? When second wave came, it was a matter of calling our manager and saying, okay, just like before, do the same thing we did last time, right? Just roll the same system, right? The same protocols. So then they put the sanitizers in place, the safety precautions, then the delivery mechanism, all of that.
Coordination.
Yeah, because the first time we had to plan all of this, I think we had to do everything from scratch.
Yeah.
The second time, we were prepared for it. It was difficult. It still is. Now we are recovering. We are not fully recovered, right? But we are kind of stabilized again. We can see an increase, as in we can see a upward trend now, right? So which we are positive about. So we started this year with an internal theme, the hopeful year, right? 2021 is a hopeful year for us. So all our social media campaigns are also going along those same lines. Not that we are using the term hopeful year, but that's the thinking behind our campaigns, right? The emotion behind the campaigns. So with that, we started the year and we feel that with all the support that we usually get from the customers, the suppliers, our team, we can bounce back pretty fast and get back to normal.
It is also about how flexible you are in handling uncertain situations. And if you are not flexible and if you are not agile, then you probably wouldn't survive in a adverse and tough environment. But luckily we kind of were flexible.
Yeah, so that's because the setup, isn't it? I mean, we have a culture where the team is equipped to handle different situations, so then we were able to adjust with the turbulent times coming in.
Yes, so having an incredible degree of resilience, hope, and more importantly, a lot of preparation to face adversities has got them to manage the effects of the Easter attacks as well as COVID. So yes, I'm also quite surprised to see that they have gone through so much of challenges, because looking at Cauldron and having visited the place so many times, even I didn't realize that they are going through so much of challenges of this nature, because everything looks so normal when you walk in as a customer, because the service is the same, the food, the taste of it is the same, the quality is the same, so the customers never feel it. I am speaking, I think I can endorse this a lot, being a frequent customer, and but the true story backstage is this. So make sure that you have a lot of resilience as well as preparation if you are in your own brand building exercise. So speaking of customers, Cauldron from the beginning, like I said, yes, there was a major execution curve, but from 2017 itself, I think from your outset, you have been having a amazing clientele, repetitive clients, so many clients. You walk into this place anytime during the day, there's a lot of people, as in it's not disturbing. You can live a very peaceful time here in Cauldron, but it always have a lot of customers. So how did you get this loyal client base, loyal repetitive client base? Is there any strategy? For me, I think it's the service and the taste of the food. But besides that, is there something else also?
Should I answer?
I think probably you will be the best one to answer.
I think being a marketer, you will be having answers to that.
We did everything honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So this is not something that we wanted to have a good customer base, but then we didn't probably did any
Maybe you didn't do anything just to get customers.
Exactly.
Right?
So we did. We didn't really plan to get a loyal set of customers.
So when we started the business, it was never about. I mean, it was about setting up a business. So it's got to be profitable,
Yeah,
right?
got to be
but
profitable.
we have this thing called reasons for existence. Okay?
Yeah.
So we believe in our reason for existence. Right? We don't start any project putting the profitability as the first priority. that never was the case, right? So we always did everything we've done purposely have been because we wanted to do it, because we thought it's enjoyable, because we thought it is impactful for somebody else as well as for us, right? So not just because of the money, right? So for an example, there are community service programs that we run, right? We also reach out to musicians. We had a lot of musicians here performing. So these were not. One can look at it as a publicity stunt, marketing stunt, but it wasn't. The reality, something that we know is it wasn't. Right? It was because we loved music.
We loved it, and we wanted to help them also. To do something, and then it was a mutually beneficial relationship, I would say,
which ultimately translated into
a very loyal
as well. So then that relationship became a mutually beneficial exercise that resulted in sales as well, right? So, but we did not start with the sale. That was not the initial requirement.
We did not start with that.
So there are many risks that we take that way. We've given our space for people to do different programs, different things. We did not always worry about the profit. We had to take certain precautions because the other customers are also here. They get affected if what we're doing for free might not support them, right? But in this exercise of building this community center, right, where there are different groups of people carrying out different activities, like there are musicians, and there are the writers, and there are the people who study, the study groups, right? And there are different people doing different things, right?
The work groups, people who come here to work, right?
And the chill groups.
Yeah,
people who just come here and just chill out and all of that. So we've noticed that, these people, some of them met here as well, and then they connected. Right? And then you find two independent groups approaching us to do a program together, right? So I think in that way the word of mouth kind of spread pretty fast, and we were impressed.
Yeah, we were impressed actually. Yes.
Right? We were like pleasantly surprised, and we were impressed. Right? So that's why I think that is the reason why the progress kind of took us by surprise. We did not anticipate that kind of that level of progress so fast, right?
And we could, at one point, we couldn't handle
We could handle the return, right? We could not handle the service, and we had to make certain changes at that point as well. So I think essentially it is all about doing what you do honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So we know.
So it's not about money at the outset.
No,
It's not. Of course, businesses have a monetary. Businesses should have a monetary outcome for sure. Otherwise, then it becomes NGO or charity. But having in mind that money is not having the monetary benefits is not the first priority, takes you a long way. I think that has been your success as well.
You think so?
Yeah, we think so. Yes.
So, yes, thanks for that, Tharanga as well as Dush. So, we are reaching the conclusion of today's conversation, but it's very important and interesting to talk about the parental aspect that you all share. As I said at the outset, they are parents to a precious little boy. I too have seen him a couple of times here in Cauldron. I hear that he already brews coffee, he already loves cooking, so that is why I find him very interesting. And this is not only about your son, but this is about the family construct. So how difficult is this entire engagement or this effort while you have your personal commitments? Because having a child is a lot of responsibilities, and it's definitely more challenging, and you need more planning than you have done planning for Cauldron. So how do you manage that personal commitment with whatever you guys are doing at Cauldron? Let's talk about it. Father too also have to
Of
speak.
course, he does his share, definitely. So I'm proud of it. So what we believe is that he is definitely our first priority. So we absolutely, there's no doubt about it. So we would always keep that in our mind when we do the rest, I would say. So everything else is planned, keeping that in our mind. So for example, when we initially started, Tharanga of course had to be here like almost 24/7. That was a lot of commitment, and so sometimes we rarely saw each other during the first year. And I was working full time elsewhere, and having a toddler at home itself is another workload.
That is also like a venture, you are bringing up a product, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a tough time, but we always thought that. So we actually took roles in at different stages of this business. So initially he was here, and then now, since both of us are full time involved in here at Cauldron, so we take turns in the family responsibilities as well. Sometimes he's here doing his work, and sometimes I'm here while he's at home helping the kiddo with the online work. So it's all about sharing the workload and keeping in.
We take turns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so one of us is always there for
So you're on a
important
roster.
activities.
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. And also, it's all about, for us also, it's important to have our time apart from the business. And so what we discussed was, okay, so when we go home, we shall not talk about business.
Okay.
Yeah, not all the time.
Not all the time. There are times that we talk about business even at home. Sometimes when we have a lot of things to do, we would, put the boy to sleep, and we would start working at home even at 10 o'clock in the night. But there are days that we would like to take our minds off the work as well. So it's all about
It's all about
balancing,
managing, sharing
and-
responsibilities, yeah.
and
So-
also enjoying what you do while even at here working, and when you're at home, getting the best of the time, that little time that you get with your family.
Yes. So managing and sharing responsibilities is definitely important, and that's how they have been able to be good parents, amazing parents, I would say. So they say there's no rule book for parenting. Different parents take different approaches to mentor their kids, and it's commendable how they have brought up their kid. They are still doing it. They have a little boy still. So I have also seen when Dush was around how Tharanga works here. He does his work, and sometimes when I want to do an interview, I have heard from the staff that Tharanga has to go to school to pick the baby, and then only he will come back. So that certainly indicates how the responsibilities have been shared between the two parents. So I have met couples who are contemplating to start something on their own, but parenting exercise has become a challenge for them. So please don't be challenged on that, because if you are good in sharing responsibilities, these things are not big challenges. This is living evidence for that. So finally, Tharanga and Dush, is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience as to any advice that you would like to give to future not entrepreneurs, that would be a little heavy word, but to anyone who wants to start a business? Something that you all didn't mention already?
So if somebody wants to do something, start something on their own, one of the key things that I would say is, as we said before, I have to go there. Don't just start something just for the money, right? Don't look for a business which is just because somebody said, okay, that's where the money is. Don't do that, right? Because money will not always be there. right? There will be tough times when the money will completely drain you out. But if you had picked an area, an industry which is something that you want to do because it's
You're passionate about
enjoyable,
it.
because it's interesting, right? And
To you.
interesting to you, yeah, not to somebody else, right? Then even during the toughest time, you will be able to find that inspiration, that
That little light that guides you.
yeah. So that is one of the most important aspects to look at, I think, when you're starting up. And then know that problems will never end.
Exactly.
Right? It's never going to be a cakewalk. It's always going to be faced with different kinds of challenges. Right? It's always going to be there. Know that it's going to come. Right?
Be ready for
be
that.
Be ready for it. Be ready to get a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. But if you have ticked the correct box at the first stage, where you pick the correct industry, correct program, correct business, then I think you will be able to overcome all the challenges that come your way. You'll
And
find out.
it will be worth at the end.
Yeah, it's worthwhile at the end.
So yes, finding your true passion and investing yourself in something that you are truly passionate about will certainly help you to face the inevitable and never-ending challenges. So if you want to start something on your own, like Tharanga said, find your true passion and invest yourself only in that, and the way out in difficult times will not be that much of a challenge. I have heard this quote, the way out is through. Going through is the only way out during adversities, which we learned and understood during the past 2 years with all the adversities that we faced. So we are in the end of this conversation. We were at the Cauldron, my favorite restaurant as well as coffee shop, so as it is to a lot of people out there. And we were in conversation with the founders of the Cauldron, Tharanga and Tharanga's better half, the love of his life. So this love and this combination is what has brought Cauldron to what it is today, and we wish them all the very best for all their future endeavors. I think you are already following Cauldron, so I don't need to mention it again, but their social media handles will be mentioned in this video, in the bottom of this video. In addition to Cauldron, follow Inspire Me as well on Facebook and Instagram at inspireme.ceylon. So before we wind up, I would like to say that Inspire Me, since its inception last year, was all about female entrepreneurship, but today's segment is sort of monumental to me also, because this is the first time I am interviewing a couple of entrepreneurs. This is a couple who had started their own venture, and the first time I am interviewing a male entrepreneur. So I have been getting a lot of derogatory feedback asking, why are you
Only focusing about the
about women, are you in the LGBT community? I get that sort of comments also. I say, no, I am not in that community, but I support that community. But that community and my concept of Inspire Me is completely different. So giving attention or being receptive to whatever the feedback we got, we have started to focus on the male entrepreneurs as well, and today is the first episode that we did with such a personality. So you are watching the Inspire Me YouTube channel. Thank you for watching us and subscribing us. Make sure to subscribe and to hit on the bell icon as well, so every time we have an interview like this, you will get notified then and there. If you have any comments, or if you want to feature your venture also in Inspire Me, why don't you pop your comments below and we will get in touch with you. So we will bring another interesting episode like this very soon to you. Thank you. Stay safe. Bye.